the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer,
Oh.
just for you guys exclusively. Sam Jackson in that trailer.
Yeah,
That was so cool. Even I got goosebumps. I was like, oh, that's Sam Jackson.
The main focus is for him to not be Spider-Man per se, but he gets dragged into it. But, you know, he reluctantly saves the world again with Mysterio.
Oh,
So,
Mysterio, yeah.
Mysterio's a good guy in this. They're both teaming up to kill the game, to defeat all these elemental monsters.
There are these threats to the world, the elementals, elemental creatures, and Mysterio is someone, you know, who knows about them and wants to make sure that the world is safe from them. And Nick Fury asks him to come on and help because he's the only one who really sort of understands them in a way. And then, you know, he teams up with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and unfortunately he has to make him become more than just a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Cool black and gray suit we call the stealth suit, but I call it the comfy suit. It's a suit designed by Nick Fury in order to do something that I'm not going to tell you because it's a secret.
Okay.
But it's really cool. It has all sorts of cool little features. And for me, as an actor, it was really interesting to try and figure out how Spider-Man would move and act in such different attire.
No, his commitment, his energy is non-stop, right? And I can feel him when he comes out there because he wants to tell all of you everything about the movie, and he knows that he can't. So it's mostly just us being like, shut up, you know? And for me, I know there are a lot of movies, but this character, Mysterio, when they showed it to me, was so original, and the idea and who he is and why he's there is so original and so special that for me, I was like, man, they did it again. You know, I didn't think they could, and they do it every time.
Cool.
Lights up.
It lights up.
Lights
and sometimes the lights
Don't always
don't
work.
light up the right way. They go disco colors.
There actually was one day where they all just started
Really?
going different colors, and I can't see in that. I can't see the lights, right?
So
I
you'd
was
be doing a scene with him.
and everyone would start looking at me like, "Is that supposed
so
to be?"
bright.
It's really cool. I mean, the coolest thing about the suit is that there are some major secrets in it
Yeah, totally.
that are pretty cool.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. This is going to be my breakdown of the Spider-Man Far From Home Comic-Con panel and the trailer that they showed. Sony and Marvel aren't allowing any of the footage to be posted online, so I had to make this in a roundabout way. Like they say during that interview, they gave away a whole bunch of really big details that make the film sound bigger and way weirder than I ever possibly imagined, and quite a bit different from the comics, so I just broke this down top 10 style. There's a new round of that IMAX ticket giveaway going on too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from their Comic-Con panel on the video. So starting with number 10, the trailer itself didn't acknowledge anything from Infinity War or Avengers Endgame. It doesn't place itself in the timeline at all. If you're like the one person on the planet that did not see Infinity War, you saw Spider-Man Homecoming, and then you watched this footage, you wouldn't be able to tell that anything crazy had happened. So that's just a step around spoilers. They obviously don't want to give away anything from the end of Avengers 4. I would expect them to continue that theme with all the future trailers that they drop, because this isn't coming out till July, well after Avengers 4. 9, you start out with the Mysterio reveal. You see him in the suit. Obviously, Jake Gyllenhaal was talking about the suit itself having a lot of secrets, but the twists in how it's created, where it comes from, and what his character is all about is very different from the comics. So number 8, one of the biggest surprises is that the villains of the movie, at least at the beginning of the movie, are touted as these elemental monsters. There are elemental characters in Marvel Comics history, but they're super deep cut from the Doctor Strange comics. So obviously, Spider-Man has crossed over with Doctor Strange in the comics before, but here's the thing about that. I think that there's all a big trick that Mysterio is pulling because of the abilities that he has in the comics. He's the master of illusion, so just keep that in the back of your mind. 7, really big change. This is actually a pretty big deal. Mysterio starts out as a hero through most of the film as the actors describe him, unless they're being blatantly misleading. He's one of the only people that understands the threat of these elemental creatures, so Nick Fury is the one that tasks him with joining S.H.I.E.L.D., because one of Nick Fury's primary jobs is also to protect the Earth the same way that Doctor Strange does, but on a more non-mystical level. Then number 6, obviously because he's a villain in the comics, and they're starting out with a very strange story, they might be trying to Winter Soldier him, because Jake Gyllenhaal also said at this big Comic-Con panel that the core of the movie is his relationship with Spider-Man. So if they start out buddy-buddy, think about what might happen later in the film to cause a falling out and what might turn Mysterio to the dark side of the Force so that he becomes a villain in future movies. Like if you're Mysterio and you're not totally all there up top, but you have great skills, think about it this way. Mysterio has faked other villains to make himself look like a hero when he takes them down. So what if these special elemental creatures that only he understands are his own creations, and that's why he's the only person that understands them, and eventually Spider-Man finds out about that and has to take him down like you would any other villain. So just imagine the mental gymnastics going on in Mysterio's head that he feels like he has a relationship with Peter Parker and he's trying to be a hero. We don't know exactly how crazy he is because the way they write all these Marvel villains has been getting better and better. Like Killmonger is just the latest example in an evolution of a style of Marvel villain. So if Mysterio is trying to gaslight Nick Fury and gaslight Spider-Man into thinking that he's a hero because he's helping take down these crazy giant creatures, but then winds up being the person to have created them, it is going to be spectacular. So even though the way they talk about the movie, it sounds very different from the comics, in reality, they're using a very classic Mysterio comic book twist, faking things to make people think that you're better than you actually are. But even though we don't know how they're going to end the movie or what the future of Mysterio is in the MCU, because Jake Gyllenhaal is such a big get and he has such great energy with Tom Holland and the other actors on screen, I think they're going to try and keep him around for as long as possible. Number 5, one of the other first scenes that we saw in the trailer was Peter in his Spider-Man costume hugging Aunt May, then going on his European vacation with his class. It's most of the characters from his debate team, like we've seen in all the behind the scenes. Martin Starr's Mr. Harrington is one of the chaperones, taking them all over the place. I mean, it's a European trip, but they're also learning as they go. It's meant to be a vacation, like he's trying to not be Spider-Man. But then number 4, as Jake Gyllenhaal said, Mysterio, working with Nick Fury to take down the threat of these elemental creatures, ropes Spider-Man in, a very reluctant Peter Parker, so that he has to go back on the clock again as a superhero with some special upgrades from Nick Fury. So 3, they're officially calling the new Spider-Man noir-looking suit the Stealth Suit. Tom Holland joked about it a little bit. They did not say what the name of the brand new upgraded Stark Tech suit is going to be with the red and black. The funny thing about Tom Holland, though, is that he says that they make that special stealth suit for a reason that he can't tell us, special function, but it's called a stealth suit. The reason why you would wear it is so that you would go undetected by the villains. I think when he was talking about that, he was just talking about the larger plot line that he gets involved in while he's wearing that suit. But we've seen a lot of behind the scenes with him and Mysterio in that fight on the big carousel. And 2, there was a whole bunch of Nick Fury. Like they said, Tom Holland got goosebumps because he's being a badass like Nick Fury normally is. Remember all the crazy stuff he did during Winter Soldier, especially that opening scene with the car? He gets to do stuff like that during the movie, but a lot of his functions are mostly support functions, helping Spider-Man and helping Mysterio. There was a really funny scene when Nick Fury busts into their hotel room while they were getting ready to sleep and darts Ned Leeds in the neck so that he passes out so he can talk to Peter Parker, and he sits down and says, "So I finally get to meet the Spider-Man." Like he's trying to make fun of him a little bit the same way that he used to make fun of Iron Man. Like Iron Man thought of himself as a pretty important person. Peter Parker kind of thinks of himself as a big deal because he's an Avenger now. So they're just continuing that funny dynamic. And then there are a couple scenes of Peter's developing romance with Michelle throughout that European vacation that just develops through the film. And then number 1, the only real big climactic footage that they had in it was of Mysterio in a big battle in his suit. And even though he didn't say too many things about it, yes, there is a version of a fishbowl. There was no mention of Iron Man. Like I said, no big spoilers for Avengers 4 or anything like that. But the way they talk about it makes it feel like this film is more connected to the larger MCU than ever. So if you were worried about Spider-Man's future in the MCU after this, hopefully that makes you feel a little better, because they do have to renew their sharing arrangement after this movie premieres before they make that third Spider-Man film. But big question for you guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think about them starting out with Mysterio being a hero in the MCU and his slow potential descent to Sinister Six villain? They didn't say exactly when they're going to drop all this footage online, but it sounds like it's either going to be next week or the week after that, before the end of the year. If I hear any big details about that, I'll be sure to include it in a future Marvel video. But I'll be doing some new Avengers 4 tomorrow, so leave all your requests in the comments. While you wait for everything, click here to rewatch the Avengers 4 trailer a billion more times, and click here to rewatch the Captain Marvel trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.